Okay, hello, my name is Osako Squese and I am interviewing Bob Moats.
Right?
Okay. Um, for the Berea Home Village. So the first question that I have for you is how has Berea Home Village helped you remain in the home that you love?
Actually, that question doesn't apply to me.
Oh, okay.
Let me give you just a little bit of background. I used to work at the hospital down there in Berea,
Mhm.
and I retired 4 years ago. When I retired, I talked to Katie Heckman, who is the head of volunteerism down there, and said, "Do you have anything for an old accountant to do?" Because I wanted to stay active even though I was retiring. So with that, I became the treasurer of Berea Home Village.
Oh, so you're okay, you're under the volunteer category and not all right.
Right. I'm not a client. One of the administrators, one of
Okay,
the
that's
officers.
great. Just what made you want to work with Berea Home Village in the first place?
They're good people. Uh, like I said, I retired and I wanted something to keep my accounting skills going. I'm 75 now, and trust me, they keep my accounting skills going because we're always getting new software to use. Um, but I got in on the ground floor before it was actually Berea Home Village, and took them with my accounting skills. I was able to get them a 501(c)(3) designation with the Internal Revenue Service and help them get incorporated. So it was more selfish on my part to have something that I felt like I was accomplishing.
Well, it's, I mean, you could have gone anywhere else, but you chose Berea Home Village, which all in all wasn't that selfish. Um, so what do you like the most about working there? Like just working with them?
I like the fact that I can help people stay in their homes longer. I know we've had during our some of our volunteer meetings and through some of our membership meetings, I've gotten to know some of the members, and there's a definite need there. Uh, I've always been a volunteer. I've always volunteered for things that didn't make me money. I was a volunteer policeman at one point, a volunteer EMT, a volunteer firefighter, and I just can't sit around and do nothing. I think I was put here to help. My job here while I'm here on Earth is to help people that need help.
That's actually amazing. What kind of advice would you give to like a younger person just about knowledge and wisdom related and like any experiences?
Uh, the best advice I can give is face every problem head on. Don't put it off. You know, if you've got a problem, take care of it at the time and don't wait for it to go away because odds are it'll get worse instead of going away.
What five things have you discovered are most important in life?
Uh, Having a good mate. Uh, my wife and I have been married for 55 years, and we were both only children. In a relationship, it's never a 50-50 relationship. It's got to be an 80 or a 90-90 relationship. Always be willing to give, be flexible. Um, and being flexible is an important thing, not only in personal relationships, but the only reason that I stayed at the hospital as long as I did was being willing to learn something new. I got to be the software king on not on developing software, but the software user king on a number of different softwares at the hospital. And by doing that, I was able to teach other people how to use the software. Okay, how many was that one? enjoy yourself, enjoy your life, be honest, uh, and let's see, be honest, be willing to. I don't know if have you ever heard of Zig Ziglar?
Yes, my dad
Okay.
put me onto his books.
Zig is one of my favorite people. I actually got to meet him at a conference one time. Uh, but the the saying that he would always say is, "I can get everything that I want as long as I help everybody else get what they want." And that is pretty well a mantra that I use during life. Uh, I I got with Berea Home Village because I wanted something to do uh, that I thought I could do well, and they wanted me because I could do what I can do. I've got the skills to do it.
Have you always lived in Berea?
No, no, I was born in Louisville, raised in southern Indiana, right across the river from Louisville in New Albany. That's where my wife and I met, and we met on the rifle team in high school. Um Moved from New Albany to a small town called Hayesville, Indiana, which was about 80 miles away. Lived there for a number of years. Moved to and started a business. Tried to move the business to Middlesboro, Kentucky, and lived there until the business kind of died. Went back to school and got my accounting degree and graduated from EKU here in Richmond. So that's where I wound up. And we've actually been in Richmond longer than we've been anyplace else in our life.
Okay. Well, do you like it here?
I
Like,
do.
like it? Okay.
I do. I do. I like being back in Kentucky. There's a special bond about Kentucky, and I don't think you'll find any place in the world, although I've never traveled the world. Uh, this is the kind of place I like. The mountains, from the mountains to the rolling hills. I just love Kentucky.
What was your first experience like in an apartment or living alone like?
My first experience in an apartment.
Yeah, or like your own home.
Well, the wife and I got an apartment probably 3 months before we got married, and I moved into it. She stayed at her dad's, uh, and the major experiences there was the squirrel that always came up to tease the cat every night at the front window of the apartment.
So, is there anything else about Berea Home Village that you want to share?
The hardest part of Berea Home Village is getting the word out that it exists. Um, Word of mouth is the best way to do that. Another thing that I would love to see happen is to see more involvement from student groups at the college with Berea Home Village and helping spread the word. Um, you know, the biggest thing that Berea Home Village does is transportation. We do a lot of different things, but the biggest demand is to go get somebody's groceries and bring them to them, or take them to a hairdresser, or take them to a doctor's appointment. So that I would say that's probably 70% of what is done by the volunteers, and those are all things that it would be kind of neat if some of the group uh, or groups at the college would participate in. Um, to get the intergenerational feel. We know that our generation and your generation are miles and miles apart. Um, yeah, I can't even talk to my grandkids at times, but there's a lot to be gained, not only in racial relations, but intergenerational relations as well, that can be worked on day, every day, every day.
Personally, I wish that like my generation would take more interest in like just communicating or like taking the time to really like learn from like older generations. Because Pat Stappenfield,
Yeah,
yeah, we had this conversation about how basically like my generation just doesn't like learning from people older than them. They've
yeah.
just canceled every generation before them, and it's like putting the blame on older generations for things that they experience now instead of taking responsibility for like our own actions and how that impacts us, and then just not wanting to learn. And so our generation knows a lot book wise, but the lack of wisdom is highly concerning. Um,
And we were the same way when we were growing up. Uh, you know, I wasn't interested in history at all in high school. I could care less about history. But after growing up and having kids and being able to go to places like uh, Charleston, South Carolina, where you can see remnants of the Revolutionary War and the Civil War and the World War II and World War One all in one place, it sure livened up my interest in history. And you know, I see things. Well, with my grandson, for instance, he's doing some very silly things with his money that I did with my money. But if he would listen to what I did, he wouldn't have to go through the pain. But at this point, there's nothing I can do. Just suffer it out, sucker.
I was having that's funny. I had that conversation with my mom yesterday. Um, it was like, okay, whatever it is that you're doing, because I've been messing up with my money too. It's like it's good that you're learning, learn
Yeah,
through experience. Go through it,
yeah.
you'll know how to handle your money.
Your bank is not your friend. Your bank is there to take every penny that you've got if you'll let it, with overdraft fees and so forth.
I made that mistake once. I'm never
Yeah.
making it again. Never.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot there that you can do if you like doing office stuff.
Yes.
Okay? Katie is swamped right now. And Katie and I have very similar mental status. We're gatherers. You give us a job and we'll jump on it and do it, to the point where we don't have time to do anything right. But we don't want to give it up. We don't want anybody else doing it. So it's not a good thing if you're trying to find people to help. But yeah, there's plenty of things that could be done as far as, and tech wise. We need somebody to uh, right now. I guess I'm pretty much the techie, and I don't know about Microsoft 365 and that kind of stuff, but they're talking about it. So we need some tech advice. So it'd be nice to have you and a few others on an advisory committee uh, as to, you know, one of the sales points for Bria Home Village that I see is to go to businesses and say, look, you have employees here that have to take off and lose a day of work, take their mom and dad to the doctor or take them to the dentist or something like that. Bria Home Village could do that. They could continue to make their money. You just have to let them know that we're available and can be, for $300 a year, that burden can be taken off of their back for the whole year.
Hmm.
And it's just a matter of getting the word out and stuff like that. So, uh, but an advisory group of younger people to help us with the intergenerational gaps. Uh, you got to stop and think that we've got some people, and my wife is involved very heavily with the Daughters of the American Revolution. She's got people that don't even have a computer. They don't want a computer. I've got a 45-year-old daughter that has a computer and rather do everything on her phone. Um, there's just, there is that intergenerational gap there, and finding ways to work with it and work around it would be helpful.
Yeah. No, I think I really, if I could, and I'm really going to try because I want more people to actually volunteer, especially with the college. Like, there are a lot of students who can help, and I know that like the college works with like assisting the community, but I feel like there are areas where they just like neglect even looking into how like we can help
Right.
within the community. And this is one of the ways. Like, it's really simple, just having a couple of students volunteer, or like making the opportunity open, um like for students to apply to like have an internship or something to do over the summer. That that will
Yeah.
make a big difference.
Well, like I said early on, I'm a volunteer-er. Uh, when my wife and I first got married, well, even before that, I was in Boy Scouts. I volunteered for everything, and then I was a volunteer policeman in New Albany for about 4 years, and then when I moved to Hayesville. They had a volunteer fire department. I got involved with that, and when I volunteer, I just don't do what everybody else does. I got involved to that to the point that when I left that area, I had helped establish a 911 system for the entire county. I'd helped establish the county, and they had 17 fire departments in the county. We had a countywide trainers association because I was a master firefighter trainer in Indiana. Um, my wife had established the first responder program for every fire department had a first responder, which is like one step below an EMT. Um, and we were active in the civil defense up there. Uh, so I just do everything. Everything I do that's fun is volunteer. If you know what I'm saying, I
Hmm.
don't have to worry about getting paid for it or anything else. I just do it because it's fun. But I have to work to support that.
No, honestly, that's amazing. Like, just to have that kind of character, to just be ready and willing to like help people and do things to help people instead of anticipating something in return or wanting to be rewarded for it like that. That's really important.
Well, I was my age group wound up going to Vietnam uh, for the Vietnamese War, and I didn't go because I had a high blood pressure problem and failed 5 different draft examinations. So I figured since some of my buddies were over there dying and I lost at least 2 of my friends in the war, the least I could do was try to take care of things here at home. And that's why I volunteered a lot.
So what do you think we could learn from like then that I guess people could apply now to better our situation?
Uh, Respect everyone as an equal.